So this conversation is being had a day after the podcast, and we've had many interesting follow-up conversations on our WhatsApp groups and so on. And I thought it's a good idea to actually summarize it for this call as an addendum to the podcast, right? So Adi, perhaps two things. One is, can you summarize, in a simple metaphor, how the return of the light and has been misunderstood or misdated now, and how the ships are perhaps sailing in the wrong direction. So that's one thing I would like you to summarize. And the second thing is, what is the role of Kashmir and Kashmiri Pandits in particular, right? Because there is so much story of victimhood. How can that turn into heroism and learning? And how can we turn around what is a profound history of many years of suffering?
Thank you. And that's really the central message of Thea's book on Kashmir that first caught your interest. She wrote it for the Kashmiri Pundit community because she felt, as the holders of this legacy, you're right, there's a tremendous generational trauma that's there. You've also mentioned how there's almost a sense of defeat, like why even return to Kashmir? It's been completely transformed. We don't even recognize it anymore, But even so, they are the holders of this legacy, of India's ancient knowledge. And as the preservers and stewards of that, they're in a position they have felt to really make an impact, to really make a difference. And also because of, as we discussed, Kashmir's central and topmost position in the body of Bharat Mata, So a change there can radiate, throughout the whole body. And I don't know if the time has come for that, but that's the call that she had put out for them. And to return to the first part of your question, yes, today we had some interesting follow-up dialogue and some maybe very illustrative examples. For example, yesterday you mentioned the Makar Sankranti and how that's connected with the return of the light, or the Uttarayana, the moment when the light of the year begins to increase, but materially that is actually what occurs on the solstice. Like that's the Uttarayan is the solstice. It's a material fact, and that material fact creates the symbol that everyone can participate in and understand and realize within themselves. So that was Thea's really key message, is if we just return Makar Sankranti to the solstice, everything else in terms of the calendar will correct itself. And the other image we used today was, and this is a really useful one, I think, so there's a star called Dhruva or Tuban, which for about 4,000 years ago was the pole star, and so in many of the Hindu scriptures, Dhruva is, it's a deity, it's a god, and he achieved that position through his devotion, and he was at that time the guiding light, that we can navigate towards, because it's exactly due north, and because of that precession, that star shifted away. It started to orbit the north, and now it's 4,000 years later, we have a completely different pole star. So, yeah, the image was, what would happen if we asked all of the ship captains to follow Tuban, and pretend that that was still guiding us to the north? It would basically, like, the shifts would all be adrift in different directions. It'd be chaos, And that's an analogy for what Thea saw as happening in not just the Kashmiri community, but the Hindu community as a whole. And that's not just a religious community. It's a cultural, civilisational heritage, that's capable of including everything within its scope. And right now it's almost as if all those ships are adrift following a different star than the one that's pointing, due north, which is that Makar Sankranti on the solstice. So that was her call, that was her prayer that someone in the Kashmiri Pundit community would catch that insight and that perception of the importance of that alignment and the power that it could hold. It would, because of how entrenched the Nirayana calendar is, it would send out these shock waves, these reverberations that would shake off this accumulated residue that has accumulated in India, in Kashmir. And it's, in a way, it's easy to say all these things and without addressing the very real fact of the trauma of that event and how deeply impacted the people's lives were. And now it's generations later, it's carrying on, this legacy of pain and division. And it's almost impossible to imagine, like, how can correcting the alignment of the calendar make any difference? But the fact is that was the basis for this civilization in the first place. That was part of the genius of the Vedic rishis, was to gather all of the energies of the entire society around these moments, these ritual, we can call them festivals, but they're really moments of ritual and ceremony that align the civilization's energies and consciousness towards this central purpose that upholds all of what we love as Mother India.
Thank you. So that is, it's such a poignant call and invitation to the Kashmiri Pandit community, that the very thing that hurt you and sent you away is now asking that you transcend and overcome the trauma in some way, because a far greater responsibility lies with you, a civilisational responsibility, which is not just about you individually or even your community individually, but it's almost like a responsibility and a debt to the nation or the land that is Bharatvarsh. And then that destiny of Bharatvarsh needs to be actualized for the world to move forward, right? So much as they have suffered so tremendously, they also have the hero journey, so to speak, to come back and face that pain and suffering and distill it in some way, a return to source, a return to their own elixirs that they held in their community, in their tradition, in their civilization. It's a return to their own elixirs that can regenerate themselves and from there, the country, and then from the country, the world. So it's a huge call and it's a huge ask. And it's a hero journey, right? This movie, Odyssey, is out right now. Christopher Nolan's film that has become the big rage. It's, Odysseus' return after the Trojan War. And there's so much being talked about as to what does that myth teach us for our modern challenges. What are we understanding? What references can we make for us individually as well as collectively? And so therefore, it's top of mind for me. And of course, I love the hero journey, the model, the concept Joseph Campbell talked about, and that this is an invitation for the Kashmiri Pandit community. And it always is like that, isn't it? It begins with a loss of land. It begins with the ostracization, and you have to leave your most treasured home. And then you make a long journey, and you face your worst fears, and you have to overcome your own shadow. And then on the other side of that, you transform, you develop new capacities and gifts, you become potent new beings. And then you don't just stay away in this new land you may have found somewhere else. The journey isn't complete until you return. You bring that elixir back, those renewed, recovered elixirs, regenerated ones. You bring them back to the very land that had become a wasteland, which had made you leave. But you come back with this amrita, this new nectar that's going to regenerate the land you once belonged to. So it's a call to those who had to leave to reframe it as a hero journey, not just for themselves, because the hero never journeys for himself, it's or herself. It's always a journey for something greater. You know, it's on behalf of the collective. So to kind of end this reflection a day after the podcast, I would say, as if anyone is listening in on this, if any of the Kashmiri Pandits are listening in on this, including the Kashmiri Muslims, you know, anyone who feels they belong to that land and that civilization, the call is, you know, are you called to step into that role of finding those elixirs that will revitalize the wasteland, right? Complete the arc, make the whole suffering and the pain and the trauma have meaning and purpose, and not just something that was in vain. Right?
Yeah, learning to see the opportunity in these moments that, like on an individual level, very often the most devastating moments in life is when we actually make a growth, like we actually make a step of progress. And I believe the same is true, you know, for a culture, for a civilization. It's those moments where everything seems lost, where everything is racked with pain, that is the very moment where exactly what you're saying, that resurgence of a forward step can actually take place. When everything's harmonious, we just flow with the ease of the perfection, you know, but at these moments, it's really calls us forth to rise to the occasion. Like you say, it's for a greater purpose than any one of us. It's even greater than India as a whole. It's the earth that's going through this tremendous transition, and India is holding this central position, and Kashmir within India has that central position. So
you said something also in our chat about we're kind of waiting at this complete tension between the tropical calendar and the sidereal calendar, the Sayana and Nirayana, and you know, like, where are they going to meet? There doesn't seem to be a meeting point. It's almost as if it's awaiting some sort of something to give, and some new element, some new energy to enter that can reconcile what seems irreconcilable, right? So if these two calendars somehow find a way to align into a new time and a new space and a new destiny. And can Kashmir be the land where that is attempted and worked out? That would be something.
It's really just a matter of setting it back into motion. It's all correct. It's just it got locked up. You know, the wheel seized up, and we have to get it turning again. And yeah, because it's not like it's wrong or incorrect. It's just that it's stuck at a certain moment in time, and time has moved on, you know, and it's time for us to also move on and move forward into that alignment that will liberate these energies and set them to working for the benefit of everyone.
So I hope those people from the Kashmiri Pandit community who are involved in setting the Panchang, the almanac, of India, of the Veda. I hope they are listening in, and we'll find a way to get this message to them, and for them to consider this cosmological perspective or course correction that can heal the suffering of so many generations and then centuries, because the exodus apparently has happened many times out of Kashmir by Kashmiri Pandits. This was not the first one that happened in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. It's happened
Oh, it's been at least 700 years. Yeah, it's a long and painful story.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Jai Ma and
Jai
Jai
Ma.
Kashmir, may it find its light. Thank you.
Thank you, Nilima.